What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the early days here of Jets training camp. It's currently day 2 as I'm making this video, but a lot of intriguing things are going down and I just want to talk about it. So Rick Bowness talked to the media and he was saying that, you know what, Gabe Vilardi is going to get every chance to be playing on that top line with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor as a winger, which is very interesting because, you know, everybody was kind of speculating that maybe he is the second line center to replace Pierre-Luc Dubois. But right now it looks like he's going to be playing the wing. I really like this idea because that means that Cole Perfetti is going to get a legit crack at being the number 2 center. And if that doesn't work, well, you know what, that's fine. Gabe Vilardi will probably just slot in there. Or, you know, maybe a guy like even Nemestikov does that. Lots of versatility in this lineup this year. But anyway, it does look like, you know, Cole Perfetti, a young guy, is getting every chance he can to take over a top 6 center role, and I really love it. He flourished at center with the Moose. He flourished at center really all his career, so I'm really excited to see if he can, you know, take that jump and move into an NHL centerman, and especially at a top 6 level as well. And Gabe Vilardi, you know, being a top line guy, if he does play with Scheifele and Connor, he's on pace to have a career year as long as he stays healthy, right? So I really like that. I really like what they're doing with the top 6. And then, if, you know, as Marat says here, I'm sure I have it up on the screen, Ehlers and Niederreiter would be playing with Cole Perfetti, presumably. That is the line that is in training camp, so that is a ton of fun. And then Iafallo with Lowry on the third line. Maybe that, you know, third line won't be such a black hole offensively as it was, you know, really for a long time. Adam Lowry's not a big offensive guy or anything like that, but with Iafallo and maybe a Vlad Nemestikov or a Mason Appleton seems like he's going to have the job for now. That is big, and I really like that because it seems like, you know, maybe the third line will actually be able to, you know, poke in some goals here once in a while. Adam Lowry went 40 plus games last year without a goal at one point, and it was just very frustrating. So I'm excited to see how that goes. One thing I want to mention is that Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele did speak to the media. Nothing really out of the ordinary that you'd, you know, really expect. Connor Hellebuck just basically saying that he hasn't shut the door on Winnipeg. He just really wants to win a Stanley Cup, and you can't really blame him at this point in his career at 30 years old. You know, he's been playing so well for so long. He either wants to be a Winnipeg Jet and win a cup here, or he needs to go somewhere else where he's going to do that. Very understandable. The guy's been dragging the Jets for years to victories, so, you know, you can't really be too mad at that answer. Connor Hellebuck, definitely a guy that I can see the Jets trying to re-sign, but I don't know if they will get a deal done with him. Mark Scheifele, another guy that, you know, we're still here talking about this. It seems like he's willing to re-sign in Winnipeg. It seems like there is contract talks, but right now he's not focused on that. He's focused on the season, and I just want him to focus on the season. I want him to, you know, be the best guy that he can be, and if in the future things go south and the Jets do look at moving him, you know, we can circle back to this another time. But moving on here to the groups, the first line, we've got Niederreiter, Perfetti, and Danny Jilkin. Jilkin is just a placeholder for Nikolai Ehlers right now, as he's been having neck spasms. He's day-to-day, that's nothing big. Iafallo, Lowry, and Appleton, as I mentioned earlier. Toninato, Harkins, and Axel Johnson-Fialbi. So, you know, those guys probably fighting for a roster spot. Probably one or two of those guys getting sent down or put on waivers. And then Malott, Lambert, and Chibrikov. Definitely maybe a Moose lineup. I don't really see any of these guys kind of making the team right now, especially on that bottom line. There's just really no spots for them, but if injury does come up, I can definitely see maybe Lambert and Chibrikov getting called up if they're having good years. As we move on to the defense, though, we've got Heinola and Schmidt, which I really like. Seems like Heinola is getting, you know, a chance to try to, you know, make the coaches have no decision but to play him, so I'm happy that he's getting a shot with a regular. DeMello and Chisholm, Dylan and Bauer, and Nizev, who was, you know, acquired in the Leon Gawonka trade with Jimmy Oligny. So Nizev, younger guy, he was at the Young Stars tournament. Don't think he's going to be much, but, you know, AHL body nonetheless. Chisholm with DeMello, I kind of liked. Seems like, you know, DeMello's kind of babysitting Chisholm there. Seems like Dylan's babysitting Bauer, but the Heinola and Schmidt thing is pretty cool. They played well together before. I'm excited to see how that rolls out. And then you've got Brissois and Milik. For the next group here, we've got Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Gabe Vilardi, so very excited to see how that line plays in the preseason. Next, we've got Barron, Kupari, and Nemestikov. That seems like right now that could be the fourth line for Winnipeg, and if that's the case, that is a ton of fun. They looked really good in the first couple of days of camp from, you know, what I was hearing on social media and everything. Obviously, I wasn't there to see it myself, but I'm very excited to see Barron take that step this year, hopefully. Kupari take maybe a step in the NHL, and Nemestikov just to continue being a really consistent player. I really like that addition last year. And then you've got Connor Levis, David Gustafson, and Jeffrey Veal. You know, again, kind of a prove-it line. Who's going to step up there? Levis is definitely probably getting, you know, waived. He's not going to be a part of the Jets. Gustafson fighting for a spot if he's going to be the 13th guy, or even maybe a guy that I could see getting moved. And Jeffrey Veal, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing here, to be honest with you. He just kind of speaks to me like a, I don't know, Saku Manalainen replacement. Same kind of player, just really a face puncher. I don't know what we're doing there. And then you've got Ford, Julian, and Reichel. All three of those guys not going to make the Jets, but they're in training camp. They're going to be fighting for a spot nonetheless, but they likely will be on the Manitoba Moose for a long, long time. Going into the D pairings, Morrissey and Salamonson. Really like this pairing. If Salamonson in a couple of years could be Morrissey's future pairing, I think that it would be a really nice one. With those two guys, Salamonson obviously very responsible and very steady, a lot like a guy like Dylan DeMello. Maybe he chips in a little bit more offensively, but right now I really like that pairing. Obviously, Salamonson probably not going to be with the Winnipeg Jets. Definitely won't be, I can tell you that right now, at such a young age, but eventually one day he will be. Sandberg and Pionk, I really like that pairing a lot. I hope that pairing kind of stays the same. If that's the second unit, I'm very okay with that. Stanley and Capobianco, this pairing just kind of icks me out. We kind of just saw this a lot last year, being, you know, the 7th and the 8th defenseman. I think that that's what they're fighting for this season. We'll see if one of them get waived. I'd lean towards Capobianco probably getting waived, but I wouldn't rule out Stanley either. And then you've got Ashton Sontner and Dmitry Kuzmin. Kuzmin, young defenseman, going to be playing with the Moose for the first time this year, and I'm very excited to see him, you know, maybe stand out, maybe flourish. Offensive defenseman, we'll see how he does. And then you've got Connor Hellebuck and Dominic DiVincentis. A commenter on the last video was telling me how to say his name right. Hopefully I nailed it there. One day I will get it if I haven't. And one little thing to add, Kobe Barlow is currently under the weather, so he's going to be missing a little bit of training camp, but it doesn't really matter. You know, he's not going to be with the Jets this season. It's nice that he's there and everything, getting experience, but he actually has been signed to a 3-year ELC deal, so happy that he got his deal done. Really like Kobe Barlow. We'll see what happens with him. He's got a booming shot, and in a couple of years, I think that he can be a great fit on this team. I think that he's a, you know, obviously very funny guy, good vibes guy, but we'll see how he does on the ice and how he does in the NHL with Rucker, McGroarty, and all those other young players like Chibrikov, Lambert, Lucius in the future. And then there is a group 3, and these are guys that are just, you know, currently non-contact, not ready for any hitting or anything yet, or guys that, you know, the Jets are just being cautious with to start camp. Not a lot of standout names, you know, Daniel Torgerson's one. Chaz Lucius, obviously the biggest one here, as he's still recovering from an injury. We'll see, you know, when he starts the season, where he starts the season. I imagine he's going to be with the Manitoba Moose. Colin Delia, you know, a goaltender there that won't be on the Jets unless there's an injury to Laurent Brossoit, Oskari Salminen, who is the Manitoba Moose starter right now. And then, you know, I don't know, you just look at these names, not a whole bunch of big ones, but nonetheless, they are there at camp. But yeah, guys, this is really all that I have to talk about right now. You know, Jets training camp underway. Here are the lines very early on, so we'll see, you know, who kind of stands out, who doesn't, see who wins a spot, and, you know, ultimately who's going to get sent down, who's going to put on waivers. So I'm very excited to see what happens here. But yeah, preseason around the corner. What do you guys think about training camp? Do you like the lines? Do you not? I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm going to leave it there. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everyone. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.